Another very active low pressure center in the nation's heartland. This is Weather to Watch on the 19th of March, 2025. Once again, an extreme low pressure system causing a lot of wind and both extremes of weather, both winter and spring, and I'll show you all of that. We have a general outlook for severe thunderstorms going into early April, and not too unexpectedly, there are some maximum areas in the southern U.S., and those are starting to creep a little more to the north now as we get warmer. And when the next system after this big low that we'll talk about is a weekend weather system, we'll show you the impacts of that. First of all, here's the satellite loop. This storm is really amazing. Once again, the swirl in the clouds, very obvious here. We're going to zoom in on this in just a second. Another swirl out here in the Atlantic. Very active weather, very typical of springtime. The upper level jet stream winds are still very strong. The surface heating is really beginning to increase. And you can see some storms firing here in Illinois. We'll talk about that here in just a second. This is the upper level analysis, so an upper level low pressure system here over Kansas City, and that is what is helping to evacuate the air and cause this deep area of low pressure right in there. And it's a little bit of a ridge of high pressure out west, but more storminess coming in ashore in the western U.S. But mostly this is going to be focused on the extreme Pacific Northwest, not so much California, but areas of Oregon and Washington. And I'll show you the precipitation forecast for them here coming up. But I just had to do this. Let's just zoom in on this storm. So many things to break down here, really. If you just go back to the very beginning, that kind of milky color that you saw at the beginning of the loop, we'll wait for it to reset here. That's this stuff right here. That's dust that's being kicked up. And then these are severe thunderstorms right here. And this is just cold air aloft, very unstable air producing stratocumulus clouds behind that low pressure area. So lots to unpack on this particular slide here. And then we'll zoom in here and take a look at a couple of things. First of all, tornado watch boxes issued for here. That's the two red-lined outlined areas. Now I'm recording this just before 5 o'clock Central. So these warnings may not be accurate, but there have been some PDS, meaning or not PDS, but reported tornado warnings in connection with that one right there as it traveled through. I don't have any confirmation on a tornado report yet, but this entire area is being watched as it moves into Indiana. This is a blizzard warning out here, and winter weather advisories out ahead of that, and winter storm watches and winter storm warnings, I should say, out ahead of that. So again, this cyclone right here, that's the upper level part of it, very, very, very wrapped up indeed. And you can take a look. Here's the surface analysis. This is where the isobar patterns are. So the deepest low pressure, I think that's probably the 4 o'clock reading, is just to the north of St. Louis, right around Springfield, Illinois. A lot of wind kicking in around this. These were wind gusts at 20 Z's, so that was about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So we have common 50 mile per hour wind gusts in southwest Missouri, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts out in parts of Kansas. And anything you see here in red is, I think, a 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gust. So pretty intense low pressure system. Again, for springtime, not too unusual, but this low tracked just about where the last one did. So if people are anxious about wind, they're certainly getting their full share here over the last couple of weeks. I can tell you that those low pressure systems are going to settle down a little bit. I don't see anything quite that deep in the forecast, but we do see active weather for the next 3 weeks to be sure. The severe weather outlook issued for today does include a Category 3 out of 5 right there for much of Illinois. Now, this squall line has passed these areas, so you can just about bisect this kind of avocado-looking thing here as we are progressing into, actually, that should say Wednesday. My apologies on all these. These are labeled the wrong day, but they all should say Wednesday. The tornado outlook is still pretty strong. Again, you can kind of bisect that, so everything on this side of that is still in the threat zone for the tornado outlook. And again, my apologies. All those should say Wednesday, not Tuesday. And we'll go ahead and look at the supercell composite. This is for the week of March 26th through April 1st, and you can kind of see there's this area here of fairly favorable supercell development. Supercells are just thunderstorms that are more likely to contain severe weather. That's the best way I can sum that up, and this is an accumulation product for that entire weekly of that period, 26th through the 1st. That's put together by Northern Illinois University, where I got my bachelor's degree in meteorology, by the way. And then the week after that, April 2nd through April 8th, this really expands quite a bit in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, all the way up to southern Kansas and Missouri, perhaps. Again, this isn't a specific day forecast, but it's just kind of letting you know that one or more systems are going to collaborate to make supercells favorable in that area during that April 2nd to April 8th time period. This, like many spring storms, has a cold side and a hot side, so to speak. Well, at least a snow and a severe storm side. And this is the snow reports as of the last 24 hours. And you can see the swath is clearly defined up through here from Kansas up through parts of Nebraska and all the way up into Minnesota and even Wisconsin at this hour. And we'll just kind of click on some of those snow reports. We got a 12-inch total there around Waco, Nebraska here. Way back in Kansas, we have some other reports here. About 8 inches of snow. It looks like Angeles, Kansas. And then even in the northern Iowa, we're getting snow reports of about 8.5 inches there around Buffalo Center, Iowa. And lesser amounts so far up into Wisconsin. Kind of look at that one right there, Valley Junction. But, that's being accompanied by extreme winds, too. So blizzard conditions, as you saw on that satellite loop I just showed you. Well, my intent here is to show you the precipitation type and the snow, but it also shows the thunderstorm line pretty well here, advancing through Indiana. This is the forecast by the HRRR at 7 o'clock tonight. And then this is all the wraparound snow, which reaches all the way down to southwest Missouri and is most intense this evening through the UP of Michigan and through much of Wisconsin, maybe a little bit there in Iowa. And then as we advance 6 more hours into the wee hours of the morning, the snow is still going on where there were just tornado warnings a mere, less than 12 hours ago. There will be snow flying overnight tonight. And again, the heavier snow is forecast to be up there in Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. And then by Wednesday or Thursday morning, rather, the low pressure center moves just about out of this frame, still snowing around Chicago and much of Michigan before that storm finally comes out and goes into Canada. This is the National Weather Service collaborative snow total forecast. And because the various offices may have different opinions, that's why you see sharp lines like that one right there. But they're forecasting, around Rhinelander, Wausau, Wisconsin, about 6 to 7 inches of snow there, also into the UP of Michigan. And remember that this low is producing blizzard-like conditions with 50 and 60 mile per hour wind gusts coming in behind it. Well, I'm choosing to show you total precipitation here, Wednesday through Tuesday, although most of this is going to fall in conjunction with the weekend weather system we'll discuss here in a minute. And then much of this right here is the snow that is moving through with the current low. So that I don't think they're going to add any more to that beyond this, but this stuff here is mostly going to be the result of a little bit of Wednesday's weather or a little bit, mostly this weekend's weather system and not so much what's happening today. And then we go to the Pacific Northwest. Remember I told you that pattern was really focusing on Oregon and Washington. You can see 3, 4, 5-inch totals here, very common, with translating to a couple of feet of snow in the higher elevations of the Northwest. So in terms of hazardous weather, there's a severe storm forecast here for the 23rd. That's Sunday through much of Louisiana, including northeast Texas, Dallas, Waco. Could be my next storm chase. I'm still wondering sort of whether this will actually be extended more up into eastern Arkansas. I still think that's probably going to happen. And then heavy rain out ahead of that in this area here, all that, the same weather system that's coming out on Sunday. Let's take a look at some temperatures now. High temperatures on Thursday. If you see this green to blue shading, all below normal. So, more than not, the country is actually a little chilly right now, but pretty mild for this time of year in the northern plains, New England, and much of the eastern United States. That's tomorrow. Skip ahead 2 days to Saturday. Moderation is the key to this forecast here. It'll be 81 in Dallas on Saturday. Meanwhile, Chicago will only be 43. Boston will be 57 degrees. And then we go ahead to Monday, and again, progression of weather systems with below normal temperatures in the Mississippi Valley region, but the West really experiencing a very, very nice warm up. And one last thing we'll look at, this is the week 2 hazardous weather. Most of this is for either the 27th, roughly, of March through about the 2nd or so. Just pick an area, you'll find the date there. But heavy snow still going on into early April. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.